Gisulk, the great spirit creator. Naguset, the sun, the giver of life. Sithamu, the earth. From the beginning, we, the Mi'kmaq, have celebrated our existence through the art of storytelling and oral tradition with legends of men, women, spirits, animals, wind, and fire. All the elements of life, all equal in importance to our people. A central aspect of our stories is power, how it is gained, lost, valued, and abused, how it has affected so many for better and for worse, how it must be respected throughout all creation. Power has played a critical role in shaping our history and tradition, in making us a proud and resilient people. For a culture whose richness lies in its stories and the truths they convey, ours is a story with no end, only a beginning and a future. It is a story of perseverance through centuries of struggle and conflict, a story of survival and strength, of hardship and hope. It is the story of the Mi'kmaq.
There are many legends of how our people came to this place. Some say we traveled across land that is now the Bering Strait 30 to 40,000 years ago. Our early descendants were probably following the trails of animal herds, and over thousands of years eventually moved across most of North America to arrive in what is now the modern-day region of Atlantic Canada and the northeastern United States. Evidence of our people has been found in archaeological sites in Debert and Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Some of these artifacts date back 10,000 years. These were the first of our people, the Mi'kmaq, which means my kin friends. Through the years, through climate change, through disease, through European introduction and conflict, and later through the evolution of Canadian history, we have survived and thrived together, forever calling this region our home. In the beginning, we lived in peace, at one with the land and sea. As skilled hunter-gatherers, our people made use of all resources, hunting moose and caribou during winter months and relying on the sea as a primary source of food almost year-round. One of our most precious gifts from Mother Earth was the sea. It has always provided, giving us fish, porpoises, seals, lobster, even whales. This deep reliance on fishing made our ancestors experts on the water, developing handcrafted tools and our distinctive humpback canoe. Raised at both ends and curved in the middle, birch bark canoes remain in use today, light enough for one person to maneuver, yet durable enough to handle on the ocean, a significant advantage to our seafaring life. Fishing and hunting sustained our people and also had a strong influence on our social order. We were always careful to follow the unwritten rules and procedures about hunting and fishing territories to maintain peace between families. In fact, local or district chiefs would sometimes assign specific territories to avoid conflicts and maintain harmony. This was done out of respect for nature and for other Mi'kmaq hunters. It reflects a central principle that has governed our people from the very beginning. Loosely translated as taking only what you need, this idea is a strict show of respect for the Creator and the people. It is an ethical code that has been passed through each generation. It oversees our relationship with land, nature, and our fellow man. It is based on the idea that we are all connected and that we must respect all things. The entire Mi'kmaq identity of hunting and fishing, culture, traditions, and beliefs revolves around it. This principle is even evident in our homes. The traditional Mi'kmaq dwellings were called wigwams. They consisted of several spruce poles covered with sheets of waterproof birch bark, with an open top for releasing smoke from campfires. Wigwams are similar to teepees, the dwellings of other Native Americans, but ours are covered with bark rather than skins. Our people used these valuable materials carefully, not wasting anything. Even when families moved to a new location, they would carefully dismantle wigwams to use again, soaking the bark to make it supple enough to fit the new home. Our clothing, too, was a show of respect for all living creatures, and our ancestors would make use of every part of the animals they hunted. Skins were stretched and sewn into robes, leggings, moccasins, and other garments. Other parts, such as deer tendons, bone awls, and even claws and teeth, were used for sewing and hunting tools, weapons, and ornaments. Mother Earth provided decorative elements too. We made pigments from animal fat and dyes mixed from leaves, flowers, eggs, and roots, all in total appreciation for life around us. Traditional Mi'kmaq ceremonies are also a deep sign of respect for everything provided to us by Mother Earth. These rituals keep us connected to our environment and remind us that the spirits of all living and non-living things are of equal importance to our own. Using natural substances as intricate parts of our ceremonies, we thank the Great Spirit for all that we have been given. These practices were started by our ancestors thousands of years ago and continue to this day. One of our ceremonies is smudging. It is a universal ceremony that essentially serves as a blessing and prepares us for communicating with the Great Spirit. The smoke from burning sweetgrass, cedar, or sage is brushed towards a person to cleanse the spirit, mind, and body. This is performed prior to all other ceremonies and is often done for guidance and protection as well. Sweetgrass is very sacred to our people. It signifies spiritual strength and closeness to our Creator. With its purple root ends, sweetgrass is found between bodies of fresh and salt water and holds a special purpose in many additional Mi'kmaq ceremonies, especially smudging and the talking circle. Considered a form of counseling, talking circles have long been used by our ancestors to address problems in an intimate group setting. These circles can be called by anyone at any time, and Mi'kmaq of all ages can attend. Talking circles are an important way for our people to support one another and handle difficult situations. Different symbols are used to identify the key speaker and can include a rock, walking stick, braided sweetgrass, or most commonly, a pipe. Mi'kmaq ceremonies are a great example of the strong sense of community that exists among our people. Our pride in unity can be seen in all aspects of our culture. Hunting, fishing, dancing, drumming, storytelling, sports, and games. All of these take place in large group settings. From our recreational lives to our ceremonial traditions, we continue to be a very social people, and it begins with the rich and colorful Mi'kmaq language. Mi'kmaq is an Algonquin language still spoken fluently by almost 8,000 of our people. It's a language that has enjoyed a recent resurgence as our people have placed renewed value on our heritage. Now, after many years, Mi'kmaq is taught in many of our schools. Our language is non-gender specific and very descriptive. These traits reflect our strong oral tradition. The language can also vary by region. For instance, the Mi'kmaq dialect spoken in Quebec is so different it is barely understood by our people in Atlantic Canada. For centuries, we emphasized spoken, not written use of our language. Runners would commonly travel from village to village with messages, news about treaties, tribal events, or even calls to war. Meanwhile, rock paintings or carvings called pictographs and petroglyphs were our only form of writing. Only later, in the 1600s, was our language translated into written words, and it was only in the 1970s that an official language study was performed. The evolution of our language symbolizes the larger impact of our contact with the white man. With it, many of our traditional practices changed over time to accommodate the ways and methods of foreign explorers. Our people have a long history of accepting outsiders and truly embracing different aspects of their cultures. It is a process that began over 1,000 years ago. Even though our ancestors likely saw the Vikings first, it was the European explorers who had the most influence on us. Although many stories abound, the most official version begins in 1497. At this point, the Italian John Cabot was on an English-sponsored voyage across the Atlantic. He accidentally landed on the coast of Newfoundland in his search of India. Realizing his mistake, he soon peacefully returned to England. Later, in 1534, the French explorer Jacques Cartier encountered many Native American tribes, including the Mi'kmaq, while exploring the St. Lawrence River system. He traded knives and iron in exchange for traditional Mi'kmaq furs. This began our long, prosperous, and often volatile relationship with French traders. It was during this era that our people were initially referred to as savages. It is important to note that Cartier used this term not to mean primitive or violent, but rather to identify those who live as one with nature, as the French translation dictates. The striking difference between the English and French translation of this word was very symbolic in our struggles over the next several centuries.